Good evening and welcome to the Coffeyville City Commission meeting for Tuesday, July 9th, 2019. Tonight's invocation will be led by Pastor Joey Barrett of the First Church of Christ. Please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I know this is probably just an accident, but it's just Church of Christ or Churches of Christ there instead of the first. I mean, we try to be the first, but anyway. I know that was just an accident, but if you will pray with me, please. Dear mighty God, our Heavenly Father, we're grateful for tonight. First of all, Father, I want to thank you for all the servants who are here serving this community in various roles. We're thankful for their volunteer efforts and the time and energy that they spend doing that to help try to reawaken Coffeyville. And we also want to thank you for the other volunteer offices who may not be here in person, the police department, the firefighters, the EMS. We're so thankful for all those people who put their life on the line every day. And Father, we want to ask a blessing upon them and their families. Father, we pray that you help this community to grow economically, to help revitalize it and reawaken it, as there have been a lot of efforts to try to do that here and continue to do so. But Father, even more importantly than that, I ask that you help reawaken this community spiritually. And Father, there are a lot of church buildings in Coffeyville, but a church building doesn't make somebody right with you. And Father, we just pray that people's hearts will turn to you and desire to be pleasing to you in your Son. And we pray that you help open those hearts to do that. Help people to see their need for you, to get them off of drugs and alcohol, as we know that there are some problems with that here and in every community. But Father, we just pray that you help those people turn to you and have their desire for you. And Father, I believe that will really help change things here in this community if people will turn to you. Again, we're so thankful for everything. We're thankful for your Son and his sacrifice. Father, pray that you forgive us of our sins. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Pastor Barrett. Tonight's consent agenda. City Commission meeting minutes for Tuesday, June 25th, 2019. 2019 appropriation ordinance number AO-19-13, the amount of $544,864.12. Any questions, comments, or amendments to these items on the consent agenda?
With none, I'd move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Taylor and seconded by Mayor Bauer to approve the consent agenda as presented. Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Doan.
Aye.
Mayor Bauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster.
Aye.
This time we'll move into our regular agenda items. Tonight, the Montgomery County Action Council's quarterly report. Trish Purdon, MAC Executive Director, will provide an update.
Good evening, Mayor and
evening.
Commissioners. Thank you very much for having me back. As we talked about early in the year, we're trying to make sure we come here at least quarterly to give you an update of what's going on at MAC. And then in particular, Mayor Bauer, you requested I come and give you an update on the two conferences that I attended this summer,
Yes.
to give you an update on what's going on with those and the results that we've had from those conferences. So first of all, I included, I've got some packets here if you guys want a copy of these. This is in the presentation too, but just in case you need a closer look, these are some print materials, the same thing that's in the presentation, but to make it a little easier to see for you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
So this year has been really interesting. And as I said at my first quarterly report, this is a year of planning and preparation. We've been doing a lot of things, not just with MAC, but with Kansas Economic Development Alliance, with Kansas Department of Commerce, trying to make sure that we are well prepared as a community, as a county, as a region, as a state for economic development growth. We've seen some changes at leadership levels of the state of Kansas, and we really want to make sure that we're taking advantage of those to move our county forward in the best way possible. So one of the big things that I think we've rolled out since the last time we talked and is in this report is we've completed our countywide economic development strategic plan. And that plan included a targeted analysis or targeted industry analysis that shows the exact kind of businesses that fit our workforce, both available workforce and those that are maybe underemployed here in Montgomery County and in the commuting distance, so about 40, 45 miles. And we did a full workforce analysis as part of that to really see what our workforce's strengths, our weaknesses, our skill sets that we might have, the training programs that we have around Montgomery County that can sustain that workforce. And we've been able to move forward with some of those things since we've completed that plan. And that plan was completed about 2 weeks ago. So we'll unveil the full thing. We're going through the final edits. There's some typos that we wanted to make sure were fixed before we unveil the final report. So I'll have that out to you guys here shortly. But we're really excited to finally get some of those things done. And I'll say that raw data has already helped us respond to several proposals for Montgomery County for businesses that fit those targeted industries. So it's really already kind of paying off that work that we've done. So far this year, like I said, it's a little slower than it did last year. Last year we created about 148 new jobs. Some of those were because of John Deere adding several positions. We saw an expansion with Cessna and Independence. We saw several new businesses, retailers that opened up. And so this year so far, we're running a little slower. We're not quite at the pace that we were last year. 35 jobs have been created due to projects that Montgomery County Action Council has helped or assisted on. So that doesn't include, if Acme Foundry maybe added 5 or 10 jobs, but they didn't request assistance from MAC, those would not be included in here. So these are direct positions that were created due to work we've done at MAC. We've submitted 10 proposals. That includes proposals that we submitted to the Kansas Department of Commerce, but it also includes a couple of proposals that we received directly from site selectors that found information on our website, that found information from marketing materials that we've submitted, and found our buildings on Location One or some other database. So we're really excited to see some of that action. We're seeing some of the investment we paid forward on our website, on some of our marketing materials the last 2 years we've invested pretty heavily in, and we're starting to see those site selectors pay attention to that. And to go into detail on those RFPs, and really for the audience more so than you, because I think you've all kind of heard this before, an RFP is a request for proposals, and those typically come from Kansas Department of Commerce, or it could come from a site selector. And those proposals, we're given 24 hours sometimes to turn these around. Sometimes I'm given 48, 72 hours, I think is the longest I've ever received, to turn these proposals around. And usually that means a full demographic report, workforce analysis, information on our school system, our education system, our housing system, utilities, where all of the pipes are laid, how much voltage goes to this building, what kind of, do you have 3-phase electric, all that information we have to put together and submit to these companies. So we've been doing that. We've had 10 so far this year. We're a little ahead of actually last year. I think this time last year we were at 7, so we're a little ahead of where we were last year. I think we're starting to see industry open up quite a bit. We're actually seeing quite a few retention and expansion projects from Montgomery County businesses that we're seeing that have kind of held off and are starting to kind of dip their toe in the water of expansions. So we've seen 5 new retail businesses, businesses, I guess. One, warehouse and distribution, which you all heard about a couple weeks ago. It is specifically, though, they're doing Walmart inside of Amazon. They're building display shelving for some new stores that are opening in the region, which we saw with Coffeyville, our expanded new stores that they're doing here. So the new displays, the new technology that they're rolling out, so they're using that for training of those employees for this new technology, setting up the shelves, building the shelves, and getting this ready to ship out to all the different stores. So our hope is with that company, they'll take a look at that Amazon building, they'll be in that building, and they'll realize how truly great it is for an asset for Walmart. So we have some work to do over the next 6 months, some courting to do. If someone starts asking the public some questions on why should I bring my business to Coffeyville, make sure you're optimistic, because we have a fish we're hooking with. So we've had 2 new service-based businesses, a new brewery that'll open, I'm hoping, in the next 2 weeks. We're waiting on one more piece of machinery to come in, and I think it's good to go. And a new manufacturing business, which we announced in January, which is Berg Reinvigorations, which opened. It's technically a Coffeyville customer. Your utility provides them their electricity and water and sewer, I think, as well. So we're really excited to have them in Coffeyville, technically Deering. We are currently working on 5 retail or food recruitments in process, and this is where my report comes in for Recon. So every year, I think this is my 5th or 6th year now to attend the annual retail recruitment conference in Las Vegas. I would say this is by far the most productive conference for retail recruitment I've ever been to. The first year I think we went, I walked up to a booth and said, "Are you looking to open in a rural community?" And they'd roll their eyes at me and shoo me away. This year, almost every single retailer I walked up to said, "We are interested in coming to a rural community. We have a new type of business. We have a new market. We have a new smaller chain that we're rolling out in our rural communities." So we received a lot of inquiries, and we were really lucky to have our team at Retail Strategies helping us with that. So they went to those meetings as well. I went to those meetings, and in fact, I was in conference calls most of the morning with them, working on a deal that hopefully will come to Coffeyville. So fingers crossed on that project, but I feel like we're starting to make some serious progress for some of our available buildings and sites here in Coffeyville for retail. We have 2 expansion retention projects that are active right now that we're working on. Those projects are still in very early stages, and so hopefully we can get those started to move forward and put together a package for them to make sure that they stay in Montgomery County or expand here in Montgomery County. And then 2 industrial site visits are currently scheduled, and those both came from our Select USA conference that we attended in Washington, D.C. That's the National United States International Recruitment Conference, International Business Recruitment Conference. I went as part of the team for Team Kansas with Kansas Department of Commerce. So I didn't just represent Montgomery County, I did represent all of Southeast Kansas, but all of my materials were from Montgomery County. So that conference was phenomenal. It was interesting seeing our competition in other states. I think that's one huge takeaway I got from that. We see what other communities in other states are doing and how aggressive or not aggressive they are. And we see our frequent flyer competitors, Oklahoma, Missouri, Texas, Arkansas, and saw what they were doing so that we can make sure that we are, as a state, competing with those other states as well. But we do have 2 site visits, one company that's coming later this fall. Again, obviously they're an international company, and so there's some hoops to jump through for them to come over and be over here for long enough to tour all the facilities they want to look at. We are competing with other states in that situation, but I feel like the Southwire building is probably an ideal fit for this particular company. And the other one, hopefully we'll get some details on that late August. We just kind of found out about that in the last week or so. They're going to come and look at some facilities and some sites here in Montgomery County. So once that gets nailed down, I'll let you guys all know more information about that. So a couple other things we've had going on, and last year in January 2018, we announced we were selected, part of Coffeyville was selected as an opportunity zone. So what we're doing now is working with Kansas Department of Commerce to make sure we have a nice website that highlights the opportunities in Coffeyville's opportunity zone, as well as Cherryville's and Caney's. So we're working on getting that rolled out. Hopefully I'll get that done in the next couple weeks. But it's really interesting. The state of Kansas is really trying to make sure we're doing this very well. They're using a top-notch company to help us get that completed. We also participated with the Community Philanthropy Innovation Network with the Coffeyville Area Community Foundation. If you hadn't seen the press release, we're really excited about Coffeyville was selected as one of 4 communities in the state of Kansas that was identified to look at an innovative way to incorporate philanthropy that we frequently see in Kansas community foundations and economic development in a way that those 2 can work collaboratively together to do a project that maybe one or the other individually can't accomplish by themselves, but when you join those 2 organizations, you can really accomplish some major things. So one of the reasons I think we were selected is the amazing work already being done by Janie DeVore Gillis at the Coffeyville Area Community Foundation. But projects like the Jerry Ham Early Learning Center was a great example that they used of things where we had seen organizations all come together to see a new project. So that group is focusing on downtown Coffeyville and partnering with, of course, the Coffeyville Reawakening and the downtown group with Coffeyville Reawakening to make sure that this project comes to fruition. It is a 2-year process, but we have experts all across the country that are coming in to help us with this. So real excited to have that expertise and training coming in. And the Kansas Health Foundation and Network Kansas are helping provide that training and expertise for our community at no cost for us, which is exciting. Lastly, we've really enhanced and simplified our small business loan program this past year, and we're seeing that pay off. We're partnering with the Small Business Development Center on some new things to try to make sure that from seed to actual fruition of a company, from when they have an innovative idea, putting it into a business plan, putting together their financials and getting their vision before they go after funding. So we're starting to help them with that as well. So before, we usually sent them to Pittsburgh, which it's an hour drive, and some of our small businesses maybe can't take that time to go do that. So we're hoping we can do that in-house here in Montgomery County. And then also, of course, on a regional level, 2 big things. The first of all is our announcement that I was selected as a co-host for the Lieutenant Governor's Rural Prosperity Listening Tour. That is a critical component of what we might see in the next legislative cycle. What they're going to do is go around to areas in Kansas, learn about the good, the bad, and the ugly of what faces rural Kansas, and take those pieces and turn it into a large report that'll show what we're doing well in Kansas, in rural Kansas, what maybe we're doing okay, and what we're not doing well at all, where maybe we need some extra assistance from the legislature, from the state level, or even the federal level. So we're hoping that we can kind of give them a good tour of Montgomery County, purely because of time. We are representing all of the southern half of southeast Kansas on this, but we are focusing our efforts, of course, in Montgomery County because of mostly time, but also I feel like Montgomery County has a pretty good picture of what's happening all over southeast Kansas. So we can show them the good, which of course Jerry Ham Early Learning Center, our industrial park, what MJD has done out there. We're going to show them Springer Family Farms up by Independence Cherryville. 4 County Mental Health is going to be a stop so they can learn more about what's going on with opioid addiction, drug addiction, and some of the good things also with housing projects. I think we're going to stop by Peggy Seals' properties there on 9th Street to show how state funding with CDBG has rolled into this amazing new redevelopment, and try to take some of these projects that maybe state areas out by Hayes or Southwest Kansas can take what we've done successfully and adapt there. So that's kind of the goal. So we're doing a pretty whirlwind tour. It starts at 7:30 in the morning with Lieutenant Governor, and it doesn't end basically until 9 o'clock at night. So it's going to be a really busy day, July 23rd. The public session is going to be at ICC West, and that's going to be at 6 p.m. And the room will hold 200 people, so first come, first serve. If you want to come, there is a link on our website to RSVP for that. Like I said, first come, first serve, though. So it'll be really important to get there early. The second piece is, just like we had the announcement recently with the intersection of 160 and 169, with the transportation task force that was done. I'm also the chairman of the 169 Corridor Coalition because I think Coffeyville, Cherryville, the county commission agreed that 169 needs to be addressed, and they set that as a priority, as well as did my board of directors. So we needed to make sure that was addressed, and we were able to get that intersection done in Montgomery County, completing the T-Works phase, and then Caney, our other project in Montgomery County, their project where it goes from 4-lane down to 2-lane and then back to 4-lane, that is also going to be addressed next spring. So all the advocacy that we did in the past year paid off. We saw both of our projects that were in the T-Works program that we thought were infinitely delayed are now being completed. So we're excited to see that. But the next phase starts in August. So they're going to start creating the next 5 to 10 year transportation plan, and that starts this August. So we'll release that information as soon as I have some details of the location to you, to let you know where we'll need to have our mass people coming from Coffeyville and the rest of Montgomery County to make sure our voices are heard. We were lost in the shuffle, I feel like, probably 12 years ago, I guess it was. And 69 highway got a full 4-lane highway, right? So we need to make sure that 169 is addressed in the same way over the next 20, 30 years. We know it's not going to be done in 10, but we've got to get something started on our highway to make sure it's safe. Lastly, communication. We have doubled our hits on our website and Facebook as well since last year. So we rolled out our website in early spring of last year. We had about 10,000 hits. We're already well over 11,000 just in 2019. So we've had a lot of hits, and we actually have a new software in our website that tracks those leads of companies who are looking at our websites. So specifically, if they come and look at the site selection and they're studying Amazon and they've been on that page for 20 minutes, I'm going to find that, I'll know who that company is, and I can go and I can talk to them. Send them a cold email, hopefully just a flyer that said, hey, here's information on this building, so that it doesn't seem too creepy. But we want to make sure that we are following up on every way we can possibly get leads for our community at the least possible cost available to us. So we found that this is a really simple way to add a tracker on our website. And nowadays, almost every economic development organization is doing that. So we're trying to get with the times on that. Lastly, I provided, I'll scan through some of these. Okay, lastly, Tyson, I wanted to give a quick update on that. This project is still moving forward, although slowly. We had a full leadership change pretty much at Tyson Corporate. Then, of course, we had a full leadership change at the state level for Kansas. So our core team is still intact at Tyson, though, and we're still looking forward to continuing that relationship. Now they're getting their team on board with what's happening. There's a couple things, though, that I think we need to work on in the meantime. One is we need to make sure that we're building that relationship with Kansas Department of Agriculture. We've broken down our targeted economic development analysis that we had done specifically to food processing, and it also came up that food processing value-added product, particularly poultry, was a very good fit for us. So we want to make sure that we get that material put together and we're good to go. We have that backup data, and we provide that to not only to Tyson but to other poultry companies that might be interested in our region. Because as Tyson even told us, we don't have to date exclusively, but they sure like us. So the other piece that I think we need to be working on, and is what actually held up the project in Humboldt, Tennessee, the Kansas Department of Commerce and the Kansas Economic Development Alliance rolled out a new program called Site Certification. And we've gone through something similar back in 2000. We did this for the site that we're targeting for Tyson. But it's time. It's been almost 20 years. It's time to kind of go back through that site certification, making sure that that site truly is shovel ready for Tyson to come in. We're also going to be doing this for Cherryville. We're also going to be doing it for Independence. So that's the next step. Basically what it is a checklist that says, is there any brownfield contamination? Is there any transportation issues? What is the history on this parcel of land? Has it always been farmland? Has it ever had an industrial property? Is there a plume of groundwater contamination from a company that is upstream from there? So all of those things that we have to know, what the topography is, what the type of soil is, soil borings, make sure it's not solid rock so we can't build on that site. So those are the things that we need to make sure we have addressed before any company ever comes on to any of our sites. So that is Coffeyville's last large available site that we have left. So I would suggest that that is the site we move forward on. Plus, it checks some boxes for the Tyson project. If we do this, it saves 6 months on the back end when they finally do say, okay, we're coming to Montgomery County, we're coming to Coffeyville. They won't have to take 6 months to do this. We'll already have it done and have all the reports ready to go for them. So in Humboldt, Tennessee, if you followed it closely, they announced it in November of 2017 that they're going to Humboldt, Tennessee. They did a ceremonial groundbreaking in June, and they didn't actually break ground until August, September. So it took them almost a year to do this due diligence on that site. So we're trying to circumvent that as much as possible and save time. So the moment they do their announcement, we really can have a groundbreaking a few months later once the permits and everything that are in place for that. So that is one piece of feedback I would appreciate from you guys. Right now, there's just a pre-application, and the pre-application just says, here's the site, here's the map of the site, this is why we want to look at this site. It's very basic. And then the board will look at it and say, okay, yeah, it qualifies, you have enough acreage. And then at that point, we'll bring it back and you guys can analyze the site as well, see if you approve it, and then we'll officially move forward. But right now, we're just kind of in that preliminary, make sure the site even qualifies for that process. So I'll bring that back to you.
So the ball's in their court.
Yes, Yeah, so the ball's in your court, because you both have to agree that you want to do a site certification for the site, but we might as well see if it even qualifies for the site, which it should, but we might as well see at least if it qualifies before you guys go into the in-depth proposal, because it will take some time. There are a lot of grants available to cover the cost to do all these studies. KEDA, the Kansas Department of Health and Environment have grants, the Brownfields program has grants. I think there's even some grants with the state of Kansas and other avenues that will help cover some of these costs, so we don't have to worry about dipping into our general accounts to pay for these studies. So we'll know more once we dip into the full proposal, and we'll outline what all those costs will be before we ever move forward.
And that college up in, where was it, Manhattan, Kansas State,
Yes.
will they help with that?
Yes, yep, they will. So they'll do a lot of the analysis. They have their engineering school come down and do a lot of it at no cost as part of that as well for us. So we're very lucky to have such good resources in our state.
Yeah, sounds like it.
I think I already kind of went through this. Okay, so the last piece of my presentation today is I wanted to give you guys an update on our budget. I know this is budget time for you. Last year you approved $25,000 for us to continue the work that we're doing. Basically, if someone's not familiar with the Montgomery County Action Council, the reason why it is that amount is it's a shared resource. It's a county collaboration. Each community of Montgomery County couldn't afford to have their own economic development professional without spending well over $50,000, $60,000 a year to do so with benefits and salary. So this way you pay for a small portion of basically 2 staff members, because it's myself and admin. And then Independence does the same. Katy and Cherryville also contribute, and then the county contributes. And then we also have private partnership, of course, which makes up about 30% of our revenue stream comes from private donations, memberships from our businesses in the area. So this is an overview of our budget. If you want a detailed amount, I'm happy to give that to you of our expenditures and revenues, but I thought it gives a pretty good overview of what we're looking at. The one thing I would point out in the 2018 actual, the grant that we received from USDA carried forward into 2019. So that's why there's that balance, because we will have to make sure we had enough money to match that grant in 2019, because it did roll into 2019 as well. So any questions on that piece? Okay. Well, with that, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure serving you all as always. I think that there's a couple areas where Matt can continue to improve. So here's kind of what I think moving forward, how we should move forward to better serve you all. So I gave you kind of an overview of how the RFP responses works and the timeline that we get for those. And I think some confusions happened in the last few months on the Coffeyville incentive guidelines that you all passed. Well, not this specific commission, but in 2014, a booklet was created at the time when we were losing Amazon, and we had just found out that we lost Southwire. So we put together a fairly aggressive incentive package that Bartlesville actually helped us put together. We kept hearing over and over again that we needed to be aggressive like Bartlesville. They were getting company after company after company. And so they actually came in and helped us mimic what they were doing. We scaled it down quite a bit. Theirs is almost double the incentives that we offer, but they have pretty sizable war chest. So we try to model ours similar to what they did, and so they had 4 pieces of incentives. They had retail, targeted retail. Those are your Walgreens, your Chick-fil-A's, those companies that everybody wishes you could get, right? And then you have your general retail, which is your awesome businesses like the Yoke, your mom and pop businesses that are already here or might want to open that maybe aren't name brand retailers. And then we have our manufacturing incentive. And that is for, we do a small and there's a large that's outlined in your incentive guidelines. We follow those because those are the City of Coffeyville's guidelines. But I think moving forward, it sounds like you want to kind of scale those back and maybe relook at those guidelines to make sure that it falls in line with what you're expecting to budget for projects. I know the City of Coffeyville has set aside some funding for those projects if we ever do land one. But the timeline to submit on those RFPs, sometimes I get 24 hours, 48 hours. It's challenging to come and bring them to you before we do that. So we've got to find a way to have an incentive proposal that we submit in these RFPs without promising something that we can't afford or we can't follow up on. So, for example, the Tyson project, we didn't offer them any cash incentives because we knew 1,600 jobs at $1,000, that cleans out your account, right? There's no money left. So that means there's no money left for Amazon, there's no one left to fill for Southwire. So we made sure that wasn't part of that incentive package. The other pieces, when we have a small retention, those pieces aren't covered in your incentive guidelines, so we need to make sure we go into those more detail. So it's probably time, it's been about 5 years now, to relook at those incentive guidelines, make sure that fits what you all as a commission want to see done. I follow your direction. So I'm your salesperson, and whatever you have in your sales booklet is what I sell. So if you don't want to offer certain incentives and we want to scale those back, I'm more than happy to do that. I just need guidance to make sure that I know exactly what you want me to do as your salesperson. And then lastly, I want you to see me as part of your team. You don't have to pay me much to do what I do, but we get a lot of benefit out of it. Like I said, we've already created several jobs this year. We're trying to fight for some new ones. We have some opportunities. We have a couple of big fish that I feel like we've started to hook. We just need to reel them in. So just look at it as that. We want to serve you as a city. We want to serve all of our citizens. And if anything, I want to make sure we're about the strongest, most vigilant organization as possible with tax dollars as we possibly can be, because we know that economic development usually ends up getting the short stick. You don't like to say that you cut your sales force, but I know we can be low-hanging fruit sometimes, and we don't want that to be the case. So we want to be as vigilant and as tight with your tax dollars as we possibly can be. So with that, any questions from me?
City Matt, go ahead.
So you mentioned the opportunity zone.
Yes.
Is there any more discussion on adjusting, not adding to, but adjusting our opportunity zone to benefit us more?
Yeah, so yes and no.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I did get a definitive answer directly from the United States Treasury Department that said, no, we cannot adjust that census tract to another tract. It's set in stone, and there's no changing it. The only way to change it is if the Congress changes and does another tax bill, which the last tax bill I think was done under George W. So the likelihood of that happening again is going to be pretty challenging.
Yeah.
However, we have discovered a slight loophole in that policy, and I'm working very hard on that. And we actually met with the Census Bureau this morning. They were in town to talk about the upcoming 2020 census. So there is a slight loophole in that the 2 years following the 2020 census, when all that data comes out, the Kansas legislature, yay, control in the state of Kansas, looks at that data that comes out from the 2020 census, and they reevaluate those census tracts and those districts, the voting districts. So if we have a strong advocate in the Kansas legislature and the Kansas Senate, which we do, I couldn't ask for better representatives or senators for our region, that is going to be a key area that they look at. Can they adjust the census tract that's designated as opportunity zone to expand into the downtown or into the east side of Coffeyville? So those tracts are limited to about 6,000 people per tract, and they try to get a tract in one community evenly divided. But right now, I would say that's not the case because of the way that Coffeyville grew and the way it contracted when the 2007 flood happened. The west side of Coffeyville is way weighted right now versus the east side of Coffeyville. So they are definitely going to have to do some redistribution just for voting purposes. So we're going to work with Jim Kelly, we're going to work with Doug Blex, we're going to work with Rich Prell, we're going to work with Dan Goddard, and we're going to make sure that they know where we want these census lines drawn when they do that at the Kansas legislature. So there is going to be control. We're just going to have to wait about 3-4 years for it.
Okay.
That's the downside. So long story, but
No,
that's
yeah.
all the data I've been able to find so far.
Hurry up to wait.
Yep. And it's unfortunate. When Kansas Department of Commerce rolled this out, it was a half page and that entire 400-page tax bill. There was no explanation of what this was even going to be. And Kansas Department of Commerce said, rank your projects, industrial, commercial, residential. Well, it should have been flipped. It should have been housing, retail, commercial, and then industrial. And so, of course, with Acme Foundry meeting those qualifications and the opportunities we want to provide to them with their recent expansion, and some other opportunities with Watco Railroad, with Parmac, we had some industry in a low census tract area, and so they were picked, unknowing that that really should have been flip-flopped. So unfortunately, Kansas Department of Commerce didn't know exactly how this was going to pan out, and they, when that tax bill was passed, they gave every state 90 days to get everything rolled out. That's it. That's all we had. And they didn't tell anyone we had 90 days until 30 days were already up. So, yeah, so it was interesting how that rolled out.
Very good.
Any other questions?
No?
No.
I mean, it's, you know, it seems like it's going pretty good with you guys. I attended a few of your meetings and it seems like, I mean, you know, to me, you guys are doing a good job, Trish, you and your team, and it's really hard to tell. It's like a lot of marketing, you know. We're waiting for the big one, so to speak, and that takes sometimes 5-10 years to get a big one, and these little ones kind of help pay it the way, maybe.
They do, and they provide us some diversity. So you have more stability as a community with building these small businesses as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank you
Trish.
very much for your time.
Very much.
This time we'll move into new business. Ordinance number S-19-03, first reading of an ordinance to allow alcohol to be served on Ninth Street during the Coffeyville Area Chamber of Commerce Hops Around Town Beer Festival event on October 12, 2019. City Attorney Paul Kreitz will make comments, but apparently we're going to have Candy Westbrook and her team make
I'll be
comments.
happy to defer. You guys have seen a situation like this before where you allow the serving of alcohol on public property by ordinance for a specific time within specific parameters which are spelled out in their material that's included in the packet. So.
Okay. Well, I'm also here with my current chair and past chair, Kristen Kane and Dylan Noter. And our event's called Hops Around Town. It's a brew festival, and in part due to just the chamber wanting to have an event, but also we heard a lot of great feedback after the 150th about the downtown event. And we wanted to have another festival or type event to bring to the community. Not only is this going to give our community another event to attend, but it's going to increase sales tax revenue. I talked to several restaurants and retailers after the 150th event, and they all reported huge increases in sales that day. One said it was the biggest increase in sales that they've had in years. Another one said it's triple their normal day of sales. And I think, in fact, the Yoke was here, and it was a really good day for them. So we hope to have another great event that'll bring some sales tax revenue in. In the event I talked about, in the packet I talked about the cornhole tournament that we're going to have, as well as the brew samples. We're also looking at maybe having vendors, DJ, a few different activities that we're going to look into. So tonight we want to request the ordinance to allow drinks in the festival area. The common consumption area is what the state is calling it. And the map that you received kind of gives you a visualization, but basically attendees will receive a wristband as they come in the area. We will be checking IDs to make sure that they are of age, and then they'll receive a wristband, and then they'll go around to the different booths, microbreweries and wineries, and taste. And what I mean by taste is they're going to be following the state guidelines on the sample size. It has to be specific sample size. So they'll just be getting a sample of the different drinks that they want. And then, of course, like I said, doing cornhole and games and activities and other stuff. The breweries will not be selling alcohol at their booth sites, so just be giving samples. To make sure it's, a contained good area, safe and fun, we have it on 9th Street between Maple and Walnut, although based on all the activities we have planned, we may be expanding just a little bit into Walnut, so it may be in the street a little bit, but we will be sectioning it off with cones. Some of the vendor tables and check-in tables will be blocking it off, and we will also have signs that'll be marking the boundaries. On both ends of the street, we will have security posted, and they will be ensuring that none of the beverages leave the area. Hopefully, Montgomery County Sheriff, I've been in talk with them. So, and like I said, we will have wristbands too to make sure we because there may be other people coming and going for regular business traffic. So we want to make sure that only those with a wristband will be sampling the breweries, so. I'm also in talk with the state ABC to make sure we're filling out the proper permits and guidelines and everything, but we have to make sure we have all of our breweries confirmed first before I can submit any kind of application. So, any questions on that event?
I think it sounds like a great event.
I think it's wonderful.
I hope there's more than 200 people there.
Yes.
I think there's going to be a few hundred, but
Yeah.
we'll start small. So,
It went very well for the 150th.
Yes.
So I like this idea.
Yeah,
that
we-
get more people downtown.
right.
And
And like I said, all the downtown establishments said that they had an increase in traffic, and the vendors had huge sales, and it was kind of just a whole big
So
positive.
what's the date on it?
October 12th,
Just for the.
and the event will go
just
from,
for TV land, okay?
yeah, the event will go from 2 to 6 p.m., and then at 6 p.m., we were still going to have the street closed off at that time till about 9. The cornhole will stop at around that, well, the cornhole might still be going, actually, but the breweries will be closing up shop at that point. So at that point, there will be no more samples given, but we will still probably have games, DJ still going on, the cornhole going on, everything, so, yeah. So I'll have information out here in the next, I wanted to get it approved tonight first, or the next few weeks, and then we'll have tickets go on sale.
All right, okay.
very good.
Now Dylan and Kristen, what do you guys do?
What do you do?
What do I do? I'm the chairman for the board,
Okay.
and I work for a commercial bank.
I'm past chairman now, I was chairman last year, and I work at Community State Bank.
And they both serve on the committee that are planning this festival along with a few other people, so.
That's what I meant.
Great.
We've got 6 microbreweries confirmed, 2 wineries, and 1 distillery so far. So hopefully it'll be a good event, so.
Okay.
Good, very good.
Thank you, guys.
All
Yes,
right,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who's gonna make a motion?
Move to approve ordinance number S-19-03 for the first reading.
I'll
So-
second. I
Done.
beat him.
Motion was made by Commissioner Van Oster and seconded by Commissioner Doan to approve ordinance number S-19-03 for first reading. Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Doan,
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor,
Aye.
Mayor Bauer,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster.
Aye.
This time we'll do city manager report. City manager Mark Hall will make comments.
Mayor, Commissioners, you're aware that it is budget time and staff is working to present to you a budget. It'll be for your review.
Mark,
and for your
turn your
advice-
mic on. Thank you.
advice going forward. The departments we're desperately trying to keep up with mowing. They're doing a good job. It is one of those, it's never ending. But I do want to thank all the departments that are out there working in this heat. We have advised that there is a heat index this week, and it might continue, so not only our employees, but the community needs to be safe during this time. Other than that, we're looking to do great things, and it's a great group of people to work with. And we'll get that budget to you by the 20th, and we'll start for your review and guidance.
Sounds good. This time we'll take comments from the public. The public is free to comment on items not listed on the agenda. Please address comments to the commission as a body and be mindful of others who may also wish to speak by limiting your comments to 3 minutes.
Well, hi, Peggy.
Hi. I just want to give you an update on Coffeyville's Reawakening. We're all volunteer. There are 3 parts to what we're doing: the neighborhoods, the Midland, and historic downtown. We have several things planned, and we've been 6 months since we met together. Only 6 months, if you can believe that. Hard to believe, because you don't see all the things that are happening. There are some things we can't talk about because, for instance, a major retirement organization nationwide that starts with A and ends with P, which I can't tell you about, has awarded us a grant which is going to help 9th Street have a 2.5-mile walking path along sidewalks that you all did, and with kiosks and benches. And so as soon as that's announced, we'll be putting that in. That will complement what the Tourism and Chamber and Coffeyville Foundation did with the bike paths. So we will have a whole area on 9th Street and in the community that will be very user-friendly. Okay, real quickly, I think I could talk as fast as Tricia, but I'm not sure, but I don't have as much information. We have a volunteer meeting. We have over 200 people involved right now who have signed up. Not all of them are showing up. We want to get that done. We want to establish and maintain and manage a world-class volunteer pool. We believe that's key to success because we have a 5-year plan we have to go forward with. So we're recruiting. We want to expand the circle of leadership here. Right now there are 42 people in Coffeyville who do everything, it seems like. You know, they're on all the boards and all that. We're trying to expand that. Wouldn't it be great if there were 142? And we've already identified some real key people. We want to get them engaged, keep them engaged, and have them be really motivated. So that's part of what we can do. So it's expand circle of leadership, circle of contribution, engage people who have quit and stayed. We see several people running for office who 2 years ago personally told me they'd had it. They tried to, you know, be in Coffeyville and work with Coffeyville, and they were discouraged, and now they're running for office. We think that's a re-engagement. That's really critical. And we're looking at best practices in all areas, the neighborhoods, the downtown, and historic theaters. Okay, so we have the bike path, the mural. We're recruiting new business in cooperation with the chamber and the county. Beautification projects, we're looking at grants. We've won several. We haven't lost one that we've applied for yet. The cleanup downtown with Midland, we're beginning work with our Heritage Grant, and we're also doing some things which I can't talk to you about yet because the structural engineer has not come into the Midland and told us we can do it, but the fire chief has, and that's really key. And so we think we're going to be able to do some things in the Midland with backstage, get people downtown again with our movie nights, with the things the chamber's doing, get people re-engaged and coming downtown and having a great experience. Of course, as Trish mentioned, the Lieutenant Governor is coming by, and we'll be showing the Lieutenant Governor 9th Street and talking about what that means. I encourage you to do a couple of things, and one of the things that we see in best practices for small towns that have really turned it around, and this is really important, fiber optics and technology, and what's happening with the generations on the coast coming in and re-examining their whole lifestyle and looking at working out of their homes. They need technology. I encourage you to think that through and look at the opportunities we have that we haven't even talked about. So we're having a volunteers meeting this month. We're having a class challenge this month for the Midland. We think we'll raise over $1 million and get 50 classes re-engaged. We have 27 class captains from Field Kennelly High School who will be leading that charge. That's huge. And we have a huge database that we've assembled that we eventually will work with the district with in order to have an alum association, which we don't have right now. Get involved. For those people who are listening or will be looking on YouTube, I'd really like to encourage you to come to our meetings at the Coffeyville's Reawakening headquarters at 115 West 9th Street. Get involved in some way. It can be for an hour, it can be for a day, it can be for a summer, or it can be for a lifetime. It's worth it because you never will have an opportunity to change a city for generations to come like you have right now. Thanks, guys, for your support, and you'll hear more from us later.
When is your volunteer meeting?
The volunteer meeting is the 17th,
Okay.
and it's the volunteer meeting is the, you asked me that, and I have that written down. We have a meeting on the 17th, a meeting on the 20th, and a meeting on the 22nd. The volunteer meeting is the 20th on Saturday, from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock at the Reawakening headquarters. The class captains meeting is the 17th. And then we have our neighborhood board meeting, a new board meeting on the 22nd, and everybody's invited to that. You'll hear more about that.
I think that's switched, Peggy. I think the Reawakening volunteer meeting is Wednesday, the 17th. Isn't it from 5:30 to?
The
yeah.
volunteer meeting is Wednesday the 17th at 5:30. And the class captain's
captain
meeting
is
is
the-
Saturday, the 20th.
Yeah.
Right. Perfection.
How do you keep it all straight?
Thank you.
Can we help advertise that?
We need to
Yes.
get that out
That's something we can do.
everywhere.
Put it on the
Right.
website.
I put the July 20th, or the July 17th meeting, I did put that
See,
already.
she does
on
it
the
too, so it's not
calendar.
just me. I
Yeah.
just want to pass the
Got a lot
blame.
going
That's
on.
right, that's we do.
It's great.
Okay, but it is great. And we really want people to get involved, have hope, be re-engaged, because it's happening. It's time.
20 seconds. Put a
Yes.
little plug out for your community garden.
Oh,
And the open lot.
the community garden, we just picked up seeds today. We have 9 plots that are taken. It was very discouraging, but we put French drains in, and people are welcome to come over and plant late summer things like watermelons and pumpkins and potatoes. And we have seeds for them, and we'll help them do it.
Very good.
So thank you. If you haven't been
Perfect.
by, it's exciting. Yeah. We also have a 501c3 that's been formed for 9th Street, and while we own one lot at 904 West 9th, the 2 people who own the adjoining lots, those are the 2 lots in back of the car wash on 8th Street, have donated those to the 501c3, and we're turning it into a 9th Street park, which we'll maintain privately. So, okay,
Nice.
great.
Very
So
nice.
we're moving along.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, Johnny Bellamy, 405 West Street, apartment number 1. I'm here to address some of the sidewalks in town, especially on Washita, Spruce, and 8th. Some of the sidewalks are just bad shape. There's, like on Willows, several trees that the roots have gotten underneath the sidewalk and it's buckled up. A lot of places water stands, and a lot of places you don't know if there's sidewalk there or not. They're in bad shape. I know it takes money, but it would be something maybe you guys could steer down the road in the future to address those. I know it takes money, like I said, but I do a lot of walking. A lot of times I have to walk down the street because the sidewalks are in such bad shape.
Yeah, I got one right in front of my house too, Johnny.
So, thank you guys.
So you know, I mean, it's an issue we do need to work on.
There's 2 trees I'm talking about. It's just right down the street from you there, Jim.
We gotta work on it. I don't know what we're gonna do.
Like I said, I know it's something that don't happen overnight. I know it's something that takes money, but it's something that you guys might want to consider down the road when you do your budget.
Yep.
Thank you.
Has
Very
that
good.
been
Yes, thank
discussed
you.
lately?
There is, in the future, that's something that's being
Yep.
looked at and addressed.
Now, the sidewalks, is that the responsibility of the homeowner?
And that is originally, and I'm not sure, what your subdivision regulations were at that time. It very well could be the responsibility of the owner. I think that there is maybe a cost share program we can look into.
That's what would be nice.
If we did that for immediate use. The other is I know Chuck's looking in certain areas for CDBG. In fact, we discussed that today.
Your mic.
Of all things. Sorry, I keep forgetting that. It's Paul's fault.
I know. I keep reminding you, but
Yeah, and he's supposed to go stop, but
Yeah.
back to that, yes, we are looking at that. Chuck discussed that. For mostly lower to moderate income areas, the CDBG will look at that for assistance in, but it is maybe developing a program with a cost share.
Yep.
And
because right now I do believe it is on the homeowner, isn't it? Is it? I believe it is.
It's a lot of it.
Right.
But it is, back in those regulations.
Just to
when it
answer the
was,
question,
things have changed over
technically
the
it is,
years,
but
and I didn't know
I
it
think
was
we have
mine.
to vote on it, though.
So we'll address that.
Thanks, Johnny.
Yes, thank you.
Squeaky hens gets the oil.
That's what they say. Anyone else? All right, we'll take.
Wait a minute. John?
I'm just fixing to leave, Jim.
Oh. I hadn't seen you move so quick for a while. You just-
I do, I have something.
Okay.
On behalf of the American Red Cross.
Name and address, please.
Anne Marie Van Oster, 608 Highland Road.
Are you a citizen of the United States?
On behalf of the American Red Cross and Coffeyville's Learn to Swim program, I want to say thank you so much. A little over 2 weeks ago, we just finished our 41st Learn to Swim program that we've had here in Coffeyville. We started 41 years ago at Harmon Pool. We outgrew Harmon Pool. We went to Feaster Pool. And of course, now we have our wonderful aquatic center. And it is wonderful to be up there. We had an increase this year of about almost 30% enrolled. We had 170 children. And it was absolutely wonderful. We have a great team of volunteers helping us every day for 2 weeks from 9 to 11:15. We offer 3 different sessions each day. I want to thank Jim Bradshaw and his crew. Every day we got up there, the pool was ready for us. And it was clean, which I attribute that to the lifeguards I know the night before for cleaning up after the pool closes. And I want to thank the city for also allowing us to have enrollment here in the hall back the day after Memorial Day. As you all know, the Red Cross is changing and closing a lot of small chapters. Coffeyville was the last small chapter in Kansas to have the office closed. We're still offering services, disaster services, and so forth, and we're still here. It's just, we just don't have an office right now, but our presence is still here in the community. And, but like I said, 170 kids, a 25 to 30% increase over last year, and it was wonderful. So I just want to thank the city for helping us out and allowing us to use the aquatic center and have it ready for us. We appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to the Red Cross.
How many kids do you think have went through that? Did you say 41 years?
41 years.
How many
I
kids
counted.
total do you think? Figures you probably
I
had.
have, let's see, 8,460, I think
Wow.
it was.
That's impressive.
We used to do 2 sessions in the summer, one in 2-week session in June and 1 2-week session in July. But of course, you know, with population
Yep.
decrease, we don't have that much anymore. But we're hoping, because we want the kids to enjoy learn how to be safe in the water and enjoy our aquatic center.
Yep, definitely. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Welcome.
This time we'll take comments from commissioners and staff.
I'm going last.
Why don't you go
It
first?
looks like you're going first.
Well,
You are.
but this is kind of a special meeting,
It is a special meeting.
It's very special.
very
Every-
special meeting, and we need to give recognition.
Yeah. I think. Go for
Anybody
it.
got any idea what it's about?
I have a pretty good idea
I
what it's
do.
about.
Cindy, don't sit there and act like you don't know
Yeah.
what we're talking about.
Commissioner Taylor,
Your last meeting, I understand.
it's my last meeting, that's correct,
Well, you've been here how long?
since 2000.
Oh, is that all?
That would be 19, almost 19 years.
Poor choice of words, Jim. Poor choice of words.
Well, hey, with all due respect, okay, but no, I've only been here 4 years, and some of you guys have been here longer, but you've been here a long time, and we sure do. I think I can speak for everybody. You've done a great job. For what little I know, I don't know how we're gonna get by without you, but we're gonna have to figure it out.
Thank you, and you'll do just fine.
Okay, good. Well, anyway, thank you for your service. Anybody else got anything to say to Cindy?
Just thank
I've got something to say.
you.
That doesn't surprise me.
Many years ago in a different life.
I know exactly what you're going to be talking about.
So many years ago in a different life, when I believe it was in 2000. I do believe it was in 2000, 2001. Prior to anyway, not about me. Cindy got to ride with me as a
And
patrolman.
I was actually at the Chamber of Commerce when we did that.
Oh, well,
So
it
would have
doesn't
been
make any
before
difference.
2000,
It doesn't
yes.
make any difference.
Yeah.
But this story is precious to me, and I like to share it because I want to see what Cindy's reaction is. But the thing is she got to ride with me, and she wrote a little article, and that article meant a lot to me, personally and professionally. But as a part of that, she rode a shift with me in a patrol car, and it was towards the end of the shift, and we were on, I believe, the west side of Coffeyville, and we got a call on the east side of Coffeyville, and she got to experience the running of lights and sirens and exceeding the speed limit just a tad bit down 11th Street. And I can remember to this day driving and glancing over and looking at Cindy, and she was like completely pale and holding on to
But I am
to-
glad you got that call, or we'd still be riding, because I was going to run hot that night.
Yeah, well, we were either gonna go to a call, or we were going to the donut shop with lights and sirens. Either way, we were going somewhere with lights and sirens on, and we got to do it. We didn't get any donuts, but the thing is it was a really good experience for me, and I will always hold that precious for me, and it meant a lot to me.
Thank you.
And I appreciate everything that you've done for the city of
Thank
Coffeyville, the citizens of Coffeyville, and you are an asset to our community.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
Anything else?
Well, what are you gonna do? We got,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do? Now, well, wait a minute, I gotta go back. 19 years here, thank you, Paul. 19, but before that, you were with the chamber for more
I
years?
spent 13 years at the chamber, and actually goes back before that. It's rather interesting with Mac here and the chamber both here tonight. When Mac first started, in what year was it, 1985? 85. I filled in and I did contract secretarial work before I went to the chamber. So I worked for Mac, and when their first director moved on to another position, I filled in that position, just to keep the office operating. So I've spent a lot of time, over 35 years. Yeah, that's a long time.
It is. It is.
It's been good.
All right, another little round here.
That's fine. Thank you.
Oh, they're gonna stand up, they're gonna stand up.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, very nice.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's not that I don't want to say anything, but I do know that you like this moment to be over. So. Thank you. You're very
Am I
appreciated.
gonna go another
Yes.
round?
No, we're done.
I'll help you out, Cindy. I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
Who's second?
Done.
Motion was made by Mayor Bauer and seconded by Commissioner Doan to adjourn. Mayor Bauer,
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Doan,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster.
Aye.
All right.